One of my favorite things to do when I come across a content creator that I'm energetically drawn to is to really absorb why I'm attracted to the clip or the upload. And then I spend time with that content creator, which is something I'm not sure that most people do that, from my observation. But I'm a researcher by nature, and I like to dig deep into the crates. So something comes up in my feed, or if I'm searching a topic, I get responses. I don't select whatever the algorithm forces me to choose. I skim the options, and then I start to click. And when a voice or a phrase or imagery, whatever it might be, hooks me, I dig in. I actually go to click on the creator's template, click on their emoji or whatever, their profile picture, and read what it is that they've included in their bio, their summary. But my favorite thing to do, now that we have the option to do it, because I've been wanting this for many years, and these platforms limit the way that we engage with the content by minimizing the type of filters and search options and such, which is NPD in and of itself, but I digress. I go to the videos and I sort the videos. So I'll look at the initial clip or video that drew me to the person's page, but then I click the oldest tab so that I can sort and see where the person started. And one thing that I've noticed, and feel free to comment and let me know if you see something similar or something different, is that many content creators start on one path, and over time, over months or years, whatever, they develop, right? The way they post their content, how they speak to things. But that's not what I want to focus on. The thing that is most interesting to me, because I'm in the narcissistic and psychopathy space mostly when I'm online, is that a lot of creators, a lot of people, they've got one demeanor prior to interacting with a narcissist. And once that the inevitable relationship comes tumbling down, they break up, they get a divorce, they realize their parent or kid was a narcissist, whatever the story is, you notice a shift. And as time progresses, that shift maturates. And I want to just touch on that specifically, because that happens to all of us. And it's either happened for you or it's coming, if you do the deep work. A narcissistic abusive dynamic comes into our lives to awaken us. And we know that God is good because when we look at the duration of the relationship, right, we realize that the Lord was looking to wake us up from the beginning. It's our holding on to our ideals and what we want that keeps us hooked into these narcissistic dynamics for whatever the period of time it is. And, I understand the narcissists are very coy, they're manipulative, they employ all of the tactics of evil. So it can make it very difficult to even realize that you're in an unhealthy dynamic, much less something as nuanced and complex as the label narcissistic relationship. And for many people, it can take a very long time to come out of these things. There are so many people I've spoken to who've been in these relationships for decades. Heartbreaking. And I believe that narcissism is a synonym for evil, so it's been around since the dawn of man. It does sadden me when I think about thousands of years of humans dealing with this dynamic and not even having the language to speak to it. Those of us who are living in this particular arc of history, we at least have phrases and terms that can help us better understand, explain to ourselves, to our community of people, what's going on. We're able to express what is happening or what has happened, which propels healing. But what we have to understand is the narcissistic relationship that brought you to your knees, that brought you to the place where you start to search and look up these terms, is a catalyst. It is more likely that you've been interacting with, dealing with, and may have even been in deep relationships with narcissists your entire life, from childhood to present. It's just that the outpouring of love that you had, the deep soul connection you had, or the deep commitment you had to a particular dynamic or relationship, and how that ended up treating you so horrendously is what made you look into this further. That is a starting block to healing, though. And leaving the narcissist, separating yourself from the narcissist, parting from that relationship is the necessary step to the growth that I talked about at the top of this recording. Because once you separate, the real work, and that's the majority of what my posts are about, and what I know is the most important aspect of this whole NPD shit, is the work within yourself. There is an awakening that happens, a realization, and you know that if you're true and you're honest with yourself, you know that the relationship was tainted from the start, and you were permissive. You tolerated a tremendous amount of ick that you were not made for, did not deserve, was not right, should never have happened, and won't happen as it go forward. And the way that you ensure that it doesn't happen is by understanding truly what happened. you get to a point where you get past all of the horrendous abuse, the tremendous loss, the destruction, and you just want to feel better. The other aspect is you want to ensure that you stay free of narcissistic rapports in the workplace, friendships, and absolutely a future spouse. The way to do that is through fully looking at your complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It's understanding the traumas that have occurred throughout your life, which you've white-knuckled through for your lifetime. It's accepting the fact that that white-knuckling was a form of sweeping things under the rug. And I get it. You don't want to look at that stuff. It's a lot of work. You got to write. You got to think. You got to do a lot of tasks, right? In order to truly unearth it, gut it out, clear out the wounds, suture them up, and heal. That process is where we see that maturity, grace, and overall cool factor from content creators pre and post narcissistic abuse. Check out some of your favorite creators on the subject. Try it out if you haven't already done so. Do the sort by oldest. Look at a couple of their original videos, and then look at some of their latest post-narcissistic abuse, and tell me if you don't see what I see.